This is the Progressive Mind Show. Here, I have in the studio great, wonderful people who are championing the voices of East Africa and trying to make sure that the African policies and African politics and policies in Washington is churned in the right direction in the favor of Africans. Okay, we want to talk about the voices of East Africa, but the conversation will not be only zeroed on East Africa because East Africa is not an island of Africa. It's actually, we're not supposed to be different countries, but that will be hard. That discussion will be had another time. Africa is one big community. We just got divided by so many. We just got divided for so many reasons by a certain group of people, which might be discussed today or touched on today or discussed in depth sometime. We have this wonderful people here. Again, it's, the voices of East Africa, diaspora voices shaping African politics and policies in Washington. We have Seenaa Jimjimoo. She is a woman and human rights defender. She was born in Oromia, Ethiopia. She studied political science in hopes of becoming a solution, holds a master's degree in public health and administration. Ms. Seenaa was a graduate student, senator, co-founder, and president of African Student Organization at Truman College and assistant executive director for Oromo Community Association of Chicago, a recipient of many awards, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarship, Mithini M. Young Fellowship, and Preceptorship. Currently, she is the president of the Coalition of Oromo Advocates for Human Rights and Democracy and an environmental health inspector for Vermilion County Health Department. Ms. Seenaa is an author and dedicated women's rights activist. Seenaa, you're welcome to the Progressive Mind Show.
Thank you.
She's the one in the middle. Obviously, she's the only woman here. Peter Magie is a board member of the Coalition Advocates of South Sudan, CAS. He is also a co-founder of Pongborong Primary School in South Sudan. We will let him tell us about the vision for creating that school. And then Alpha Dialo, to the far left, is a human rights lawyer. He's a president and executive director of One Heart for Africa. He is a writer under the Human Rights Tree, a member of the Northwestern Prescott School of Alumni. He wears several hats, and maybe during the conversation this evening, he might want to tell us a little bit about other things that he does. Alpha Dialo and then Peter Magie, you're welcome to the Progressive Mind Show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome, and this is home, so feel free. All right, let's have a decorous. Let's have a very deep conversation regarding our beautiful continent, and this is the first African radio station with a dial in the history of Chicago. Okay, and actually in the history of Midwest, I don't think there's ever been an FM station for our community. And so this is where we come and we feel very comfortable to talk about the things, actually tell our story the way it ought to be told. And so again, feel free and so we can go into the things. Seenaa, can you give us a little background apart from what we have realized, what we have learned about you being an advocate and also a professional? What do you do in your free time if you're not working?
Peter and I go back a long time. We grew up.
Okay.
He is very active for his community.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I do is I'm sure a lot of people who don't know who the Oromos were for the past 20 years, for the past 19 years. It was about educating who I was and who as I believe I am, not how people assign me that I am this or that person. So I was, it was about fight against that, trying to put my name and my identity as I believe rather than accepting what is being told to me. It was rather me teaching people one by one. I can tell you I have thousands of people what the Oromo means, who the Oromo people were.
Exactly. And how long have you been in the States?
Almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years. Yeah. Okay. Alpha.
Yes.
Before we go to Alpha, what's your favorite food?
My favorite food?
Yes.
Oh, Italian food and African.
Italian food?
Italian food, yeah.
Okay. I thought you were going to say...
the Oromo, the Merca?
No, Injera.
The injera?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
It's good too?
Injera, yeah.
Okay. But injera is not the most, popular Ethiopian food. Like, there are other...
It is
the most popular.
very popular. But it's just that I kind of grow up a little bit of both.
Okay. You like sports, entertainment, are you into music, sports, and
I
stuff
like
like
music. I'm into politics. Addicted to politics.
Okay. So you okay, that's your thing.
I'm one of those people who wake up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock, and read the news.
Read the news, okay. So you're not into too much of TV and social media, stuff like that.
Okay,
Alpha, how long have you been in the United States?
I have been here since 2000.
2000.
Yeah.
And you are the co-founder of One Heart Africa. Is it co-founder or founder? Founder of One Heart Africa.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're not being a lawyer or working for One Heart Africa, are you a social person? You like to go to the bar? You like to, have fun?
Yeah, I like to dance.
Like to dance?
And in my free time, I play music too.
Okay.
Well, so.
Oh, you play some instruments?
Yeah.
Oh, like what?
Keyboard.
Keyboard? Oh, beautiful. So if you go to the bar, which one? You go to Safari, Wild Hair, or?
Sometime I go to the Wild Hair.
Wild Hair?
Because I like reggae.
Like reggae?
Music. But sometime it depends my mood. Sometime I go to the Drake Hotel.
Okay.
They have a swing dancing. And sometime I go to Latin dance. They have a Latin. So I go to different part of the city
and have fun.
Have fun. So.
Peter, if you're not, going about your regular work, what do you do for fun?
Well, I'm a big-time Chicago Bull fan, so I go to the Bull game.
All right.
I got lucky, so I got free tickets, so I go to all the game. As you know, when Lord Deng was drafted by the Chicago Bull in 2004, we become a good friend of the Chicago Bull community relations, so they provided with the ticket. So that's where I go whenever I have a free time.
Okay.
I also go to the gym, work out, play basketball just for fun.
Okay.
But during summertime, of course, I go to all the summer festival here in Chicago, in downtown.
Are you anywhere related to Manute Bol?
Well, Manute was a very close friend of mine, very good friend of mine. We both came from the Dinka ethnic group.
Okay.
But Manute was actually a person who introduced me to Lord Deng.
Okay.
When Lord got drafted by the Chicago Bulls. So
all right.
He was a very, very, very close friend of mine.
Manute Bol, man. If you don't know Manute Bol, for folks who don't know Manute Bol, he was a former, was it a Bulls player?
Well, he played for 4 teams, Golden State, Philadelphia, Miami, and what's the other team? So he played for 4 teams.
At his time, was he the tallest?
Yeah, I think he was the tallest person who ever played in the NBA, at the height of 7'7". And his son is about 7'2". At the age of 19. So.
And is his son playing basketball?
He played for Oregon.
Okay.
So he declared for the NBA draft, so you're going to see him playing in the NBA.
No, you said he's a tall... Okay, I at the time, history had it that he was the tallest guy who ever played for the NBA. But Yao Ming is 7'8".
Yao Ming is just 7'6". Manute was 7'7".
Oh, Yao Ming is 7'6".
Yep.
Oh my God, 7'7". Anyway, let's not go into sports. I love sports, and when we were growing up, we used to watch Manute Bol. Even back in Ghana, we'll watch it on tape and all that. Right. But yeah, we all have passion for something. And mine is sports, soccer specifically, but sports in general. Anyway, who are the Oromos? Oromia.
Yes. So Oromia is the territory, and Oromos are the people. And I, breathe and talk and dream about those people very much. Now, since last year, it's a little bit better. But Oromos are the largest ethnic group in East Africa, the third largest spoken language in the whole of Africa. They make at least 50 million or more in East Africa.
50 million?
50 million. And but nobody have ever heard of them until recently, because of what we did in Washington. Until recently, the protests that had taken place, I think recently we finally pushed the Ethiopian regime to give into democracy, a semi-democracy, and push to Washington to actually acknowledge the money they are given from here in the name of aid, in the name of education and things like that, is indirectly empowering dictators that are harassing and killing and exiling people in millions.
What is the main, or what is the prevalent ethnic group in Ethiopia?
So Oromos are like, the country is about 107, 108 million, 108 million. So from that you have about 50 million at least or more are Oromos.
So would you say most of the Ethiopians in Chicago have an Oromo origin or?
No.
Okay.
They won't. What happened is like before 1991, Oromos were not even allowed to speak upon Oromo. You can't speak your language. It was a crime.
Speak Oromo, right?
You can go to jail for speaking your language.
Who was controlling that?
So exactly. So the thing is, so African scramble in 1887, right? So Africa was created as countries.
Right.
So it was during those times that Ethiopia was also took current shape. And even though the Oromo were a majority in number wise, they never held the power until last year. Last year's first time we have new prime minister who happened to be at least by birth Oromo and then seems to have Oromo nationalist though. At least he says though. That's a different stuff we talk about it. But so Oromos are the largest ethnic group, but before 1991 they were not recognized. So since 1991, Ethiopia kind of took what we call ethnic federalism, where the region is divided in 9 sections, which is like, Oromo have Oromia, Amhara have Amhara. So everybody kind of divided in a
So before Oromo was recognized, Aramia was ruling?
So before Oromo recognized, before 1887, so in Africa, if you know, it was just the people living in a land, territory.
Right. Yeah, territory.
So that's like, tribe. You have your tribe, that person. So, but after Africa is colonized directly.
When it became Ethiopia, by the Portuguese, right?
Well, no, actually, Ethiopia was colonized twice by Italians.
Italians, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but what happens, like now you give them this fake identity. You put people by force together, and you call from this area. From here on, you are called Ethiopia.
Right.
And these people is forced marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So what we're saying, like, we don't want that to happen. If people have a right to secede if they want to, that's what the Constitution of 1991 says, that you have a right up to secession if you don't want to. So what we're saying is, like, as an Oromo, we want to give people to live how they want to. But if your choice is to secede, please go ahead. But before, it was forced. Oromos were forced to be there. But that's no longer the case, at least. But the country still, we have a new prime minister since last year.
Right.
Yeah, and he is the first Oromo prime minister that actually speaks upon Oromo, speaks the language. Before that, the state don't recognize the Oromo, even though they are such a large people.
Right.
They don't recognize them. I grew up in a political family. It was a crime to be Oromo. You get beat up, you get arrested.
So I want to know so which tribe was that?
So Oromo, I mean...
No. The Oromos...
Before, okay. So since...
You said the Oromos, it was a crime to speak Oromo, right? So who was
in charge?
Yeah.
Who was... So the people who were ruling... Ethiopia is ethnic, okay? We have about... Just like Nigeria
and Ghana,
83 ethnic group.
Right.
From 83, the two ethnic group make up about 75% of the population.
Okay.
About 70.
Oromo and
Amhara.
Good. Amhara. Okay.
Yes, Amhara.
Okay.
So on and off, the northern, Oromos are the southern. The northerns have been empowered for the past.
Who are the Amhara?
The Amharas and partially Tigris.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Okay.
I've never heard Amhara.
Amhara. Yes.
Okay. Good. Okay. Great. But okay, the board has changed now. And would you say that is as a result of some of your struggle or your fight at Washington that had caused this shift?
Oh, absolutely. This is the first time we feel great.
Okay.
We could go back there and say you're Oromo.
Okay, we'll come back so you can tell us how you started the fight and what motivated you and all that. But Alpha, tell us about One Africa. Yeah.
Personally, when I first came to the United States...
You can feel free to...
Okay.
There you go.
When I came to the United States in 2000, I came with the idea that I am a Guinean.
Okay.
But by living here, I realized I am more than a Guinean. I am an African.
Okay.
But considering the fact I went to school, French school, I always was brainwashed, telling me, well, you are this nationality, this country. You know. And basically, I from a place of conscience, I come to the understanding that we are all Africans,
right.
And we need to find a way to recognize that on us and take action to unite. That's why I see the need basically to create an organization that will bring all the Africans together for African causes. Therefore, you have, for instance, a lot of misinformation about Africa. Therefore, we we remain silent for those misinformation.
Right.
And I feel like we need to have an organization that kind of bring a balanced information. You know, say Africa is not about war, about disease only, but Africa is about a rich continent.
Right.
Africa is also about a country that have a young population who have a dream to better their lives.
Right.
So those kind of positive things. And in same time is also a way to basically say to us, we are here in United States of America. We are in a platform. When you speak, the world listen. Therefore, we should not be silent. We should always say something. We should always advocate for a better Africa. We should always get involved. You know, like Seenaa, she was here, but she tried a way to get involved on what's going on in Ethiopia. And we have to do the same where we come from. You know, we need to always to talk about our home country and to try to push policies that help people back home.
Right.
The other thing is about our culture. We need to find a way, basically, to promote, you know, to share who we are, and not to be ashamed of it. You know, so we need to be able today. We are Africans, and we are proud of our culture, because what people are saying often is not the case. Right. And we need to find a voice and share it with the
That is so beautiful. The one thing that you said that hit me was when you mentioned the rich continent. It's a topic that I've been planning on discussing here. I've just been having a hard time finding the right people to help me do that. So now that you've mentioned the rich continent, you are automatically part of that conversation the next time I think about it. Okay.
Right,
then when I plan for it, actually, I think I have this set here. I mean, I can have the Romo lady, I can have Peter, you know. I'm just joking. But Peter, a lot of people know about. We know al-Bashir is ousted now, right? He's the current Sudanese president who's ousted. Right. Let's start from the beginning, and then we'll go to the. No, let's start from the end, the current, and then we'll go to the old. Okay, what has happened? How the Sudanese refugees ended, or the Sudanese people ended up in Chicago. What is the current situation regarding al-Bashir, and what's the way forward?
Well. Sudan is split in 2011, so now you have South Sudan and you have North Sudan. Both countries have been in war. Right. But in case of Sudan, as you know, Umar al-Bashir has been in power since 1989, basically 30 years in power. And all he has done is to displace people, kill people, done all the bad things. I was a victim when I left the country in 1988, 1 year before he got into power. So, but recently, of course, there's been, you know, because of the economy, because of the bad things that have happened in the country, there's been protests that started in December, and that protests continue all the way until, you know, April 6th. People finally had a chance to mobilize in large numbers, and as a result, Bashir is now overthrown. So, but currently you have a military that want to take over, but people are not ready, you know, for a military rule, and they just want a civilian rule. So that negotiation is ongoing right now, and the protests are still going on in Sudan.
Sudan. It has been mentioned so many. I mean, it's been in the news for a long time. Right. Let's talk about the significance of Sudan when it comes to sub-Saharan African political struggle.
Well, Sudan happened to be one of the richest countries. It has all the resources, it has oil, and many other resources. But unfortunately, this country has been in war for so long. Since Sudan gained independence in 1956, you know, war started right away between the North and the South. That war went on for 11 years, and then in 1972, there was peace that led to a break. So, you know, so we had peace, and then in 1983, war started again, and that war went on until 2005. So because of this conflict, I had to leave the country in 1988, went to Ethiopia, as you know, with many other children who were forced out by the war. I lived in Ethiopia for 4 years, and then when war broke out in Ethiopia in 1991, I had to leave Ethiopia. But instead of going to Sudan, I ended up going to Kenya, and I lived in a refugee camp in Kenya for 9 years before I came to the United States here in 2001.
Okay. What was the reason, Oromo, if you can tell us, the 1991, what was the cause of the 1991 Ethiopian war?
Well, 1991 is the break point when the new regime came place. Before that, it was...
you mean the Oromo regime?
No,
sorry,
no.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry. Yes, I did.
The country, the issue of the country of Ethiopia is so complex because the West is infatuated with Ethiopia. There is this perception between the U.S. and Britain that they got to save Ethiopia.
Right.
There's this some Christian nation.
Right.
There's this magically whatever it is that they feel like it's
the
their
Rastafarians
job.
believe
Their God.
Their God is from
Right.
Ethiopia.
I have a story. I met Bombardi's son when I used to work in hotel, and he have a Rastafari's picture in here, and I'm like, "What is this?" I knew about it, and he was like, "This is God." But for Oromo, he was somebody who committed genocide against.
You mean Haile Selassie?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like he is someone that should be accounted. He's dead. If you could bring a person from grave, bring him back, destroy him. I don't know.
Right.
He's a criminal, but he's a god to some people here. So he got mad at me. So 1991 is when new regime took place in Ethiopia. It was communism. During that. So since they said Ethiopian state was formed, it was never a peace in that country. There was always one above the other one. It's about superiority and inferiority. It's about the southern always being inferior, always never having real to rule the country or lead the country, but rather Ethiopia resource and land and the people predominantly come from the south. Anything, 70% of whether it's coffee, gold, or anything that comes from that country comes from the South. Yet the South never been in power for the past 130 years. And not only that, not only human rights violation, but we were actually disseminated to the point we are less than human being in that country. We were a second-class citizen. We were not allowed to speak our culture. We were not allowed to speak our faith, let alone before even today. To be honest with you, I'm a follower of my ethnic religion called Wakifana.
Wakifana.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, predominantly Muslim and Christianity are followers of those two religions.
Right.
So as an Oromo and as a follower of this faith, people look down on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's the backward. Why do you want to follow what your great-grandparents did? But to me, the way I see is my great-grandfather, there's this connection between our ancestor and God that make us close to God, close to with nature. But now we went away so far from that, and we are really into this modern religion that we have forgot as African. We have forgot ourselves. One thing that Alpha say, and Alpha also, we know each other for a very long time. We are all activists in our community. We're not only activists that we go to Washington, we actually mobilize people to teach the community, to let them hear our voices, the issues that matters. We support candidates. We support leaders that wanted to do something for their community. Alpha, mentioned that, Africa is indeed one big continent, and we are all brother and sister, and I agree that. But that doesn't mean we should diminish our own identity, our unique set of who we are. Because what makes Seenaa is not because I'm an American. It's because I'm an Oromo, and I take pride in being who I am. I take pride in following my religion. You might not agree with me. It might seem backward to you, but to me, what makes me unique and beautiful, it is who I believe in. It doesn't mean I feel like I'm better than Alpha or Alpha's people. What I'm saying is Alpha have to give me a right and a space for me to be myself.
Feeling comfortable in your skin.
Exactly.
In what you
then
believe.
you can live with other people.
Exactly. Peter, Sudan, what is the most prevalent religion in Sudan?
Well, you have Christian, and then in the north you are Muslim. Yeah. So in northern Sudan it's predominantly Muslim. In the south you have Christian.
Okay, 50-50. What's about the population of Sudan?
The population of Sudan, it was about 40 million before Sudan is split. So in the north, in northern Sudan, you have about 30 million. In the south, about 12 million.
A lot of people don't even know that Sudan has a very large amount of what you call it, oil. oil reserve. People don't even know that. People don't even know that.
That's why we are in war.
Yeah, I mean, people would think it's maybe what, Nigeria and of course Saudi Arabia and Venezuela and all this, but Sudan is actually very, very, very rich in oil and gold, as you mentioned.
But in every country in Africa with their natural resource is a curse. Look at the Congo.
Now, I would want to differ with that word curse. It's not a curse. It's a blessing. It's a blessing, but we know we've always had external factors who have turned our blessing into a curse for us. Right. It's not the people. The people itself, have always had the privilege of those natural resources. We've always used it. Again, before the first European ever found Africa, we were living in riches. That's why, again, the topic, the rich continent, has been so dear on my heart for 2 years now. Oh, by the way, how did I forget my own anniversary? This is the second year of of Progressive Minds.
Wow, congratulations.
So yes, wish me happy anniversary, please.
Oh, very much. And to be honest with you, we did not know such a radio exists because this is our voice. This is how we wanted to. Here is where we're going to get heard from. So we are very grateful for you.
Absolutely. Well, Alpha, you've been listening to the conversation. How Africa has been the place, the scramble for the external forces, war in Sudan because of the gold. And then because of the resources. Seenaa mentioned how there was civil war. It looks like Africa has internal wranglings, like we fight each other for some. Can you tell us why we have this internal wranglings, this civil war, and all this aside the external forces? Why do we fight each other in Africa?
Basically, after hearing what they say,
right.
My thing is like we have a problem of self-determination. We all believe that we are independent state, but we are not. And that create a problem. We are the richest continent in the world, and therefore people need to have a control on our resources. And to have a control in our resources, they have to have people, African, to play that role. And therefore, when those interests are in conflict, therefore Africans are fighting. But most of African leaders, they don't have the money to buy guns. Therefore, guns are given to them to achieve a purpose for somebody that is outside. Therefore, what we're struggling is we lacking self-determination. Our people don't have the power to elect their own leaders.
Right.
And politically we say we are independent, but economically we are dependent. And therefore it's going to keep going until we have the courage as an African to recognize where is the problem lay and what can we do to tackle those issues. I understand we are all from different ethnies. Some people are Dingas, some people Uru. I am Fulani. We have to have the freedom to express our identity, but we should do it in a unified way because for many years our ethnies lived together in peace as brothers and sisters until colonization came and divide people in different saying these people are more than these ethnies and all those things, and we start. But I think what we need is peace, and what we also need is the knowledge that we are all brothers and sisters, and the best way for us is to unite and have a powerful continent that look for development.
So you don't think that as Africans we have the tendency of looking down on each other just because we speak different dialects?
What is the origin of that?
Well, that's a good question. What's the origin of that? You would say that imperialists. You would say external factors. But before they came, though, weren't there practices of other tribes, fighting, tribes fighting others?
I think there was issues.
Yeah.
Of course. But you have to understand also people live, for instance, the Fulani in Senegal and the Serer in Senegal. They live side by side with a lot of friendship.
Right.
And even today, if you meet a Serer have a joke for a Fulani. Therefore, but if you want to come and dominate people, you will say to them, these people, they don't get along. They always fight. I am the one who can put them together.
Okay.
And that narration have been played for a long time. Because you cannot come, I cannot come to your house and take your belongings without justification.
Okay.
I cannot sleep. For me to come to your house and take your belonging and sleep, I have to justify that way. Just why when the European came to Africa, they say this is, first of all, is a dark continent. Second, they are not civilized. Third, they only fight each other. Therefore, we have to bring them civilization, we have to bring them religion, and we have to bring peace. Therefore, these are the justification for a colonization. And this is the narrative that have been going there.
Right.
And therefore, it's the narrative you hear in school.
Okay.
Why you are here? Because your ancestors were not getting along. Is it? Did you have studies that prove genocide did happen between Fulanis and Serer? No.
No.
So you end up believing what they teach you, because school is a way of brainwashing kids. Or school are used for further certain goals. The person who control the program is he will put the program in a way where people will buy to it.
Okay.
Therefore, you have to understand those kind of narrative, and we need to go and fact check those narratives and make sure they happen or not. And I believe this was not the case.
I would like you to tell us, based on what you just said, when we come back, I want us to talk about xenophobia in South Africa.
Okay.
Okay. And that is a very unique case which ties into what you just said. Africans used to live by each other. You know, we coexisted. You know, with peace. You know, without any eternal struggles until of course the Europeans came in and brought.
But sorry to disturb, but you have to understand that different conflict occur in the time of slavery.
Okay.
In Africa, if you read the history, there was little conflict, but the conflict was not huge. But when the Portuguese and came to the coast of Africa,
right,
and they wanted to slave, and they will give guns and things to one kingdom, and for that kingdom to attack the another kingdom for slavery.
Right.
That at that time, in the time of transatlantic slavery, you have a lot of conflict in Africa, because people were fighting for the slave to provide people for the slave trade. But before then, did you have a huge
internal
conflict?
Okay, right.
Is the question.
That's the question. Yeah. Okay, that question. If you have an answer to it, the number is 773-942-7167. Let's go straight to the discussion. We're still here in the studios with the voices of East Africa, diaspora voices changing politics and policies in Washington. They have indeed changed policies and politics in Washington with regards to East African politics, right? And one of the big voices there is this wonderful, strong, beautiful ladies, beautiful queen sitting in the middle by the person of Seenaa. Seenaa, you wanted to chime in on Alpha's comment, and then we'll come to the Oroma story again.
Okay. So, yes, I wanted... Alpha earlier, he mentioned before, you say that what's the conflict that we Africans don't seem to live at peace together even before the West or colonization.
Right.
But you got to really look at it. There is a nature of survivor of the fittest, right? So in nature, the way nature have is the strongest, the survivor survives.
Right.
The weak dies, and that's how we evolve as a human being. It has been like that in animal kingdom too.
Okay.
The strongest survives, and that is the way nature. But when it came to Africa, what happened is when genuinely African leaders come to power, there is influence of outside always diverting them. Instead of those passionate people for their people and strong determination in their culture, democracy, whatever, what happens is you have the outside force influencing and changing the dynamics.
Okay.
So there's never survival of the fittest in Africa because the West is always have the hand in there. That's one aspect. Secondly, since Africa became liberated, you can take people like Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya. We can take Mandela, our beloved Mandela. But truly, if you look at it, these people, their freedom were negotiated. So when you negotiate previously, it's not truly free.
Right.
So what it means
it's
is
freedom
like,
with condition.
Exactly. So I'm saying, look at the state of South Africa. You still have land still owned by the white people. You know, forgive me, I have nothing against white people. And then you still have the indigenous Africans who are still in poverty 20 years since Mandela came. So if you think that is democracy and that is fair, I'm sorry, I have to disagree. Take Jomo Kenyatta. So when these African leaders came to power, whether it's 1960 or 1970, these people came partially by selling their people, by negotiating. So we Africans did not liberate ourselves from really oppression. What we did is we give in and took. You know, we put up this face, black face in the continent, but truly, internally, these people are represented by non-African leaders. There are certain countries like Thomas that came to power, but the West always killed. You know, if they don't like you, if you don't support it, the West will replace you. So what keeps Africa outside of the peace? We cannot live together at peace. It's not that I see as an Oromo or I see myself as a Fulani before I see as an Africa. The thing is that I feel like we can live. He can live as a Fulani.
We
I
can
can live as a
coexist
Oromo.
peacefully.
But don't force me to worship Fulani at the expense of my people.
I got you.
I feel like the continent is big enough not only for us, for everybody. We have the resource. But what happened is we have the outside force that's influencing what to call ourselves.
Okay.
No, I mean the West. That's how. Look at I'll in one example. Recently, is it Irish? One country voted to be independent. The whole world let them be. But when it came to Africa, it's not like that. There is nothing wrong for people wanting to be independent.
Okay.
What we're saying is independent. That means you don't live in my country. You know what I'm saying? It depends on me. I wanted to be by myself. And I feel like it's a human dignity, it's a basic dignity as a human being that I have a right to call my territory whatever I want to call.
Right.
And as a brother, we ought to be, as an African, we ought to be one continent, one people, and we'll be able to go and work and live, but not by force.
I know Alpha wants to chime in. When you chime in, I said before the break we'll talk about xenophobia. So when you chime in, we'll come to that.
Yeah, the thing is, what I'm saying, I think maybe you are not understanding me. Me personally, as I told you, we have a problem of self-determination. It means basically we are not master of our destiny. Like the African said, an empty stomach, somebody with an empty stomach is not free. Therefore, giving you political freedom and keeping the economic freedom in my hand is mean I'm still dictating.
Right.
But you can have a flag, you can have a used tank and pretending you are independent.
Right.
But the real independence is the economical independence.
Okay, that's true.
However, I'm saying only that because you brought up the issue of fighting, I say is a preconcept that have been always there. They fight, and we need to come and bring peace between them. Therefore, you know, there is an African say that said that the tongue and the teeth, they live together forever, but sometimes they fight.
Yes.
Therefore, doesn't mean you never, before slavery time, you never went to deep in Africa and say one ethnic committed a genocide to another ethnic. But the narrative is there that we don't get along, so somebody from the outside have to kind of keep us together.
Yeah.
You know,
as if we cannot manage our own affairs if we were left alone.
So if you believe on human rights issues, ethnies has an entity have the freedom to worship who they are.
Right.
And whoever believe on freedom should embrace that. What I'm saying is, in this beautiful, huge continent has a unity, we should be able to embrace our diversity.
Okay.
She's Uhuru, I'm Fulani, I'm proud of who I am. She should be proud of who she is. And I cannot see nothing wrong
with that. I think that's what she's saying.
So,
Yeah,
Right.
we're on the same page.
Yeah, you're on the same
Understood,
page.
yeah.
You want to say something, Peter?
Well, no, I think we could go to the
Okay. Xenophobia is cannot be accepted anywhere on this planet, but right on the continent of Africa, we know that this is going on. You know, you have South African blacks going against, or I don't want to use the word, but they are committing heinous crimes against fellow blacks because they are not necessarily from South Africa, you know, from other countries like Nigeria, Ghana, and other West African countries. To your point, we can coexist, you know, peacefully. But we are seeing it 2019. This thing has been going on for years. We've seen the pictures. People have been burned. What can we say to that? This is 2019, where, you know, Africans, many years ago, we were known to be peaceful people. We coexist regardless of our different tribes. Well, we can blame it on the Europeans for bringing this division and all that. But in this case, it's not white committing crime on black. It's black on black in South Africa.
yeah. The thing is,
And the government is not taking any harsh steps. I guess we have to talk about this.
don't go further. Is ignorance. Is ignorance.
But if it's ignorance, if the people are being ignorant, aren't there security agencies that can make sure that people are not just being ignorant? You cannot be ignorant at the expense of someone's life. Here in Chicago, we know there's gang, war, whatever going on, right? But you know when you are caught, that's why they hide and do it. Because when you are caught, you know you face jail time. We know the police are patrolling the streets trying to clamp down on gang. But we don't necessarily see that in South Africa. I don't think the government is.
Okay. Go.
Okay, exactly. You have to wonder. I want to answer that question, but I want to say one thing before that. I think when we were at this university, we were speaking that the question of I think it was about a year ago. I think if I'm not mistaken, 2017 or 18, they declared opioid as a crisis. Opioid is drug, right?
In the States, you mean?
Yeah, in the state.
Okay.
So it was crisis. People don't go to jail. When you are caught with it, you go to hospital, you go to treatment center. But when you are caught with weed, which is less, you go to jail. So who is the victim, who is being affected, is determined what kind of punishment you get. If this South African crime was happening to white people, they would go to jail. It have already been fixed. But the problem is our African brothers, the victims are African, the victims are black. So,
So who
it
cares?
doesn't matter. Who cares? It's the number. We got plenty number, so that's what it is.
Okay.
And it angers me because I have a family member affected by xenophobia in South Africa. It is it's very unfortunate that South African government are not taking serious action against it. And it makes me wonder, yes, they have sold their own people. That's why they still country is in poverty when 83% of the land is still occupied by only white South Africans.
If you say that, you know, the crime is, you know, committed, is black on black crime, right? And so if we're the other way around, people will go to jail. The incumbent government, the ruling party, is made up of is black people. It's not necessarily, it's not white people that's ruling South Africa. It's black people ruling South Africa.
Are you talking about ANC, right?
Yeah, the ANC, right? And the current president is black. So why is he, you know, looking the other way when other Africans or other black people are being killed mercilessly in his own country by his own black people?
I think we all know the root cause of those is just poverty. You know, if you have a country where youths are not in school, they don't have jobs.
No, I think sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, Peter, but let's call a spade a spade. South Africa is one of the richest African countries. Period. They hardly even travel. If you go to, is it Cape Town, one of the beautiful, the most expensive cities in the world, arguably, okay? Oprah and all those rich people have their houses there. All I'm saying is that Johannesburg, I mean, South Africa is rich. So if you talk about poverty, I don't think that people are so impoverished to the point where they would have to attack other African nationalities who are sojourned in that country to, you know, coexist with South Africans. I mean, I don't think poverty should be the reason why they. And then, even if that's a reason, it's not good enough reason for the government to stay silent on this thing that's going on in South Africa.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying there is different elements that contribute to allowing xenophobia to happen.
Okay.
One of the elements is ignorance, because if they go through their history, African countries got together and fight against apartheid. So if they know really that if they are free today, in huge part is because we fought.
Okay. Because
this thing will make you think before you go against another person. And the other thing is, we have a complex of inferiority as a black people. We view other Africans as less because we view black people as less.
Because that has been put in our head.
Yeah, because through our education, we are always told that we are less, we are worse, we are not good, we are
unless you are a particular skin, then you are a better person. But if you are dark, you are lesser than, Okay.
We have that complex on us.
Because we've been taught to think that way. Okay.
We have that complex on us, and we voluntary or involuntary act on that that complex of inferiority. If you have many Chinese, or if they go to South Africa, they welcome them. They they are happy they are over there
with open arms. Yes.
Therefore, but if you have a Zimbabwean or Senegalese or Ethiopian going there, they have the presentiment that these are poor people that are coming to take what is ours,
right?
Because there are that sense of nationality.
Okay.
Therefore, those different points, I agree with him. It can be economic, because you're talking about South Africa, but go to different countries in Africa. Whenever there is economic crisis, the first to be blamed often is the strangers, and the strangers often they have different nationalities.
Okay, no, but that's a point. But this point is solely, I would say, related to South Africa. You don't see xenophobia being, going on in a lot of African countries.
Let me tell you, it's what is in the news, but in other countries, you have a xenophobia as well. In certain history, if you look the history of Nigeria, at a certain point they did
that to Ghanaians.
They put Ghanaians in the car and they returned them. In certain kind, like in other countries, they have been.
But these are in small, cases.
But xenophobia is xenophobia.
I understand that. I understand
the other
that.
point I want to make, you have to look at the three elements. There is ignorance.
Okay.
There is economic.
You can come this way.
There is ignorance. There is economic, and there is a lack of political will.
Okay.
Because if the government want to step in and make sure other people are secure, African are secure, they will do so.
Right.
But they don't see African has a economic asset to their country. They think we come in after they went through apartheid, went suffering. Now we come in to benefit from what they gain.
Now, yes,
and that thing is an ignorant way of thinking.
It's a very ignorant way of thinking. If xenophobia, I don't think that among the many problems of the African continent, I don't think that xenophobia is like on the top of the list.
Right.
Okay. Yes, it's happened before.
It's a problem, though.
Yeah, it is a problem, but only related to a small portion of the continent of Africa. Okay. So just like you would say that yes, there is gang war and there's a lot of killings in the United States, but yes, in terms of gang wars, it's noted for. I mean, some cities are noted for those type of things, right? You don't necessarily see that if you go to certain communities or certain cities. So all I'm trying to say is that xenophobia is centered around South Africa, but yes, it happened in Nigeria some time ago, Liberia, but in recent history,
recently in Mali.
No,
Ogon people went and massacre a village, a Fulani village.
Right. Okay.
So,
now the war of Fulani, the Fulanis and the other tribes, even in Nigeria, all the way up to now, it's not necessarily I wouldn't say is related to economics or poverty. It's more of religion than anything, right?
Religion and politics.
Religion and politics. The issue of the Fulanis
is an economic issue too.
Well,
because with the
economics is tied in a little bit, but it's
let's
more.
have a discussion on many. I cannot frame the whole issue
Okay.
on one part.
Okay.
As I say to you, there is a lot of element that play
Thank you.
in those issues.
Okay, what I really want us to actually look at or focus on is that these things are not accepted, right? Okay, so
No,
good.
It should be condemned.
Thank you, and that's
thing.
good. So my point is, how do we get the government of South Africa or wherever xenophobia is happening on the continent of Africa to take action? Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, and their leaders should start looking at this seriously, because people are thinking of going to invest in South Africa. People think that it's the best place to invest. They're not going to other West African countries or other African countries. These are some of the things they have to consider. The world has to start putting pressure on the leaders of South Africa to make sure to stop the killing of Africans by Africans in South Africa. Please go ahead.
Okay, so you raised a very good point about others pushing South Africa. I wanted to bring a question of or conversation into the issue that's happening in the Middle East against particularly women. There's millions of women, young girls, goes to Middle Eastern country to work, and these women are treated as a slave.
Okay.
In 2019, they get face burn, they get raped, they get thrown off the building, they die in hundreds on every day. African leaders don't speak up. Because African leaders don't mind what happened to their citizens, nobody is in charge. So if that happened to one Asian, one white person, their government speak for them. So if my government would demand South Africa, how dare you gonna allow my citizen, they might be refugee, they might have left for whatever reason, they're getting burned. South Africa is at free will, because the people who are getting burned, who are getting killed, are black Africans, are poor people, and the place they came from, they don't have a voice. African continent still, out of 54 countries, majority of them are still led by dictators, by a government that don't care about its own citizens. So when these people die and get burned, there is no accountability, there is no government that is pushing South African. How dare you? That's South African should be, South African leaders, ANC should be held responsible for every day that's happening. Not the poor people who's burning, but South Africa should be, the ANC should be in charge and should be accountable for it. Honestly, the leaders should be sued for this.
I'm also AU, the African Unity.
Oh, AUs are nothing but a gang sitting there protecting each other's interests.
Exactly. I mean, that's the whole conversation to be had sometime. But I want to just zero in on Voices of East Africa and how you were changing policies and politics in Washington. Your story is powerful. I want to retract to how you got to. I know you've given a speech in Washington. How many times have you done that?
So I did in a briefing and in a hearing session.
And a hearing session.
Yeah,
okay, so on 2 occasions.
Yes.
Okay, so
and I've been there many times.
Many times.
Yes.
Okay, we want to start from the year. I mean, we want to go to the year you started doing this. I mean, when you decided that I'm going to do this, what necessitated, who gave you the push, who gave you the support, and all that. But the Lost Boys of Sudan, is that the name of the documentary? The Lost Boys of Sudan. So whilst you came to the state, 150 Sudanese men and women, right, made it to Chicago from that story you just narrated, migrating from Sudan on foot all the way to Kenya until the U.S. government came in. First of all, what would you say has been, how has the contribution of the U.S. to your coming here affected you, and how do you think this is going to carry on to the generations that are going to come after you?
Well, I think the good thing that happened to us was
by the U.S. government,
that the United States, first of all, decided to bring some of us here in the United States. So when you have nearly 4,000 lost boys or young men and girls who have been together in a refugee camp, they went through a lot. They were victims of the war in Sudan. When you brought such a large number here in the United States, I think this was a big help to Sudan in a way that most of us came straight here and started going to school. We wanted to take advantage of being here, making sure that we educate ourselves. But while in the process of doing that, we knew the war in Sudan had displaced millions of people. Nearly 2 million died.
Have you lost some family
war.
members? Have you lost some family members?
Well, my father died during the war, but every family in Sudan at least have lost someone during the war. So when we came to this country, our main goal was to raise awareness, to make sure we educate the American people.
Right.
The government in Washington may know about it, but sometimes they are driven by their own interests. So the good thing in the United States here, if you are able to mobilize people to understand your cause and rally behind you, politicians in Washington most of the time don't have a choice but to do what people demanded. So what we have done when we came to the United States here, we begin, sharing our history in school, at universities, at churches, at synagogue. We organize rallies in places like Chicago, in Washington, all the places that, we could get as many people. So when we did that, now the pressure was on Bush administration that the war in Sudan went on for so long. And one thing I just want to mention, and I think my brother mentioned it earlier, while we were organizing this event to raise awareness about Sudan, unfortunately you mentioned earlier that there were many Nigerian and Ghanaian here, but one of the problems we have to tackle later is the fact that whenever there is, whenever we want to raise awareness about particular crisis, whether in Burundi, whether in DRC or in Sudan, others, as Alpha put it earlier, look at it as a Sudanese problem. So Nigerian would have nothing to do with it. But anyway, we were very successful in mobilizing the American people. And so with that, that's what led to the independence of South Sudan in 2011. So we went to school. We have been raising awareness. I've been doing that since 2001, since I came here. Didn't get a chance to go home. When I first made it home to Sudan in 2008, that was 20 years, since I left the country in 1988.
Wow.
So I went there with the intention to see my family. When I was there, with the other Lord boy from the region, we came and started the process of building a school. So there's many things that we have been doing. Just to summarize it, we have been on top of raising awareness. And if the United States did not allow us to come to this country, nobody would have actually
giving you the
been
chance
on top of that. We went to school here. Most of us are now engaged in charity work, whether you go back, you study the school. Some has been going there to build clinics. So we're contributing in different ways.
Some are going there to build clinics.
Yes.
So you're saying out of the 150 that came here, at least from the group the core group that you were with, some have become medical doctors.
Yes, we have medical doctors,
civil
we have
engineers, lawyers,
different kind of
profession.
people. Yeah.
Wow.
And we have to find a way to contribute, to give back, especially if you are somebody who survived and made it to this country. The only thing you could think is always to think of whatever.
Yeah, to give back.
To give back.
Yeah. So you went back and built a school.
Yes, with the Lord boy who happened to be from that region, we all came together and we decided that we started a non-profit organization. We started raising money. We went back. We started the school because we know in the long term that if you could end the war, but you have to have people with the skill, people with the knowledge to be able to use the resource for the good of the people. So in the long term, we have to invest in people. So that was the idea.
Is it a high school, elementary school?
Yeah, there are lots of boys who have, like there is a brother who have written the book, What is the What?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so he have a secondary school, which is high school.
Okay.
Ours is a primary school.
Primary school.
Yes.
And how many was the population in the school?
Before the war of 2013, that displaced many of the families from the region. We had about 800 children from that school. Now the attendance have decreased because when war broke out in South Sudan in 2013, majority of the families have to leave the village and went to a refugee camp. So the number roughly have about 400 currently, yes.
Remember to keep watching Progressive Minds. Go on Facebook, search for Progressive Minds. It's all one word. Like the page, follow us, send us your feedback so we can better make this program. Something beneficial to all of us. It's been wonderful. God bless you. We will see you next week. Remember, to whom much is given, much is required. This has been your host, Alinko. Bye-bye.